Ulster's away form this season has been poor, to say the very least.
Ulster desperate.
Winning just twice on the road.
That is very, very poor Ulster defending.
And now paying the price for that lack of consistency.
And that pretty much could be that for Ulster.
Pro 14 playoff hopes slim. Champions Cup rugby next season hangs in the balance. Third placed Edinburgh host John O'Gibb's side tonight, who welcome back Ireland's Grand Slam winning captain Rory Best. His leadership arguably required now more than ever. Yep, it's Edinburgh versus Ulster in the Pro 14 live from the Scottish capital. Evening, you are very welcome. Another Ulster rugby outing and another must win. It's third versus fourth in Conference B with so much at stake. We'll pour over it all in the company of Stephen Ferris and Ian Humphreys. Evening, gents. Hear from both of you very, very shortly. Meantime, the weekend's Pro 14 fixtures for you just to pour over. There's one other game this evening in the round 19 competition. The Ospreys host Connacht. That's at the Liberty Stadium. Tomorrow afternoon, Leinster facing Zebra in Bloemfontein. The Cheetahs home to Cardiff Blues, and champion Scarlets then host Glasgow, and in the evening it's Benetton playing the Dragons, with Munster in Port Elizabeth to take on the Southern Kings. And that Ospreys Connacht fixture in Conference A will have big ramifications in terms of European rugby next season, as both sides, of course, battle it out in an effort to seal a Champions Cup place. Likewise, for Ulster, they lie some 13 points behind their Scottish opposition tonight, and a Pro 14 playoff place all but out of reach. Win this evening, Edinburgh will make history and the playoffs for the first time. Ulster, of course, must win to retain any hope of a Champions Cup playoff game. Ian, bit of a preamble, but the permutation's simple: win or bust for Ulster.
Yeah, it's a huge game tonight. Obviously, it's tough going away to Edinburgh, who they lost to a few weeks ago, but Ulster, they're going to be struggling to make the playoffs, and I think the key for them is to stay above Treviso. So they're obviously looking for the win tonight, and most of all, they probably want a performance. Three
names to mention to you: Messrs Stockdale, Messrs Henderson, Messrs Best, all in harness. You expecting big things from Ulster tonight, Stephen?
Yeah, look, it's great to have those guys back into the team. They've come from a brilliant environment, a really high intensity environment with lots of confidence, and they're now into this Ulster setup, which has been struggling of late. They've only won one out of their last 5 games. They've been struggling on all fronts, and the last time Edinburgh came to Belfast, they gave them a bit of a hiding up front. So with Rory Best and Ian Henderson back into the pack, hopefully they can get a strong foothold up front, because they're going to need it to try and get the victory tonight.
Ian Rory, 200 plus caps. Tom O'Toole in at the deep end this evening. Someone you know very well. He's come through the academy. Are you expecting Edinburgh to target the front row?
Yeah, I'm sure they are. Obviously, Tom has been on Ulster's radar since he came from Australia a few years ago. He's done really well for the Ireland 20s this year, and the Ulster A's had a couple of man of the matches. So with Rory beside him, with Ian Henderson behind him, I think he's into a strong pack, and they've high hopes for him. I've no doubt he'll go well. And I think credit to Kieran Campbell. He's brought through the likes of Tom, Matty Dalton, Angus, Curtis on the bench as well. And there's plenty of young lads coming through from Ulster Academy, which is great for the fans to see.
Stephen, before we head across to Murrayfield, no Craig Gilroy this evening for very well documented reasons. Is that likely to be disruptive?
Look, I think it's on everybody's lips, but at the minute the boys are just concentrating on themselves and concentrating on the match tonight. They would have prepared all week for Craig to be injured or anything else, so somebody's come in to fill his boots. He's not available. They get on with it. They go out tonight. It won't be talked about during the build-up to the game. And if they get out and deliver, then hopefully in the next couple of weeks Craig might be back involved.
Edinburgh, not the happiest of hunting grounds for Ulster. Are you expecting a big response tonight, Ian?
I am, and I think there's going to be huge energy brought by Rory Best, by the young lads coming in. And whenever something happens to a squad, that's where you get a little bit of everybody together, just us against the world. And I think you'll see a real big response from Ulster tonight.
They need a reaction. They need a reaction, because it's backs against the wall here, and sometimes when your back's against the wall, that's when you get the best performance, and they need a performance to keep their hopes alive.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Stephen. Now then, Ulster versus Edinburgh from Murrayfield. Your match commentary team, Tony McWhirter and Jim Neely.
Well, it's a pretty pleasant evening here in Scotland's capital. There was a fair bit of rain between about 4:30 and about 5:30, but that's all gone away, and the pitch is in pretty remarkable condition. For Ulster, well, it's Winner bust, as they say. 3 more games after this one, but with Benetton breathing down their necks in no uncertain fashion, this is a game that Ulster really have to win. There wasn't much between them last time they met, away back in the 16th of February, when a late drop goal by Duncan Weir gave Edinburgh, the visitors, then the win. Just a quick glimpse there of the man winning his 50th Edinburgh cap tonight, Magnus Bradbury, but refereeing his 164th Pro 14 game. There's a man who did that game back in Belfast in February, and that's Nigel Owens. And there is the man who popped the ball between the Ulster posts right at the death to give Edinburgh a victory, which perhaps just sealed Ulster's fate, but we have to see. It's a long time since Ulster won here. It's 3 years, and with the pitch in perfect condition and 1 or 2 rather interesting changes. Well, we just have to wait and see how this Ulster side performs, because there's 1 or 2 combinations that we are totally unfamiliar with. Ulster at the moment lying in 4th place in their conference and in 8th place overall if you're taking everybody just as one particular group of teams, and that's really not satisfactory at all. So Ulster probably need to win 2 of the remaining 4 games, including this one tonight, and hope that Benetton slip up. We'll worry about that as and when. It is Duncan Weir, one of a handful of Edinburgh players on the move at the end of the season, gets us underway. And straight down into John Diesel, who himself is taken by Dougie Fife, one of no fewer than 12 Scottish internationals or international players starting for this Edinburgh side, taken on by Ulster, just trying to move infield to give John Cooney a wee bit more room, and he gets it back to Charles Piatow, and that's an interesting ploy. Doesn't often pop up in the outside half position. All the way down to Bill Mata, the Sevens gold medalist with Fiji from Rio a year and a half ago, almost 2 years. No, a year and a half, yeah. And we're putting a little bit of pace on it. That's a very interesting kick. Cooney covers across and escapes and has made a decent bit of ground. Duncan Weir covers well. He has Blair Kinghorn, one of the Scottish players of the Six Nations, with him. Oh, that's a very poor attempt at a tackle there by Sean Diesel, and hacked through. Referee saying it was knocked forward, and the advantage was to Ulster, and it's now over. And that's going to give Ulster a lineup. Well, that was a bit fortuitous, Tony.
It was, Jim. Evening, and evening everybody back home as well. And yeah, a nice advantage played by the referee. Johnny McPhillips with the left-footed fly kick through. And the unfamiliar figure of Duncan Weir being taken into touch. Duncan Weir, Jim, obviously on his way at the end of the season, and I think both of us were slightly surprised to see him pick this evening. But speaking to the Edinburgh chaps beforehand, they were expecting wet weather, and Weir picked for his game control.
Rory Best throws, wasn't taken cleanly by Ulster at the lineup, but they managed to recover the situation. Diesel into Matty Dalton, starting a game for the very first time for Ulster, still only 19 years of age. This is Ian Henderson, a member of the Grand Slam winning team. McPhillips back inside, very nearly worked for Jacob Stockdale. Ulster on the Edinburgh 22. Tom O'Toole, just 19 years of age. McPhillips gets it away. Louis Ludock. That's good work by Ludock as ever. Old Mr. Reliable. Cooney again. Good pressure from Ulster. Nice little pop pass from Andrew Warwick, Ulster's loose head prop. Cooney again. Ludock. Oh, he's causing problems. Nick Timoney's come in off the wing. Still there for us. This is good pressure from the visitors. Now they have to turn this into points. Cooney again. McPhillips. Little flat ball. Edinburgh's defence has been outstanding this season. Darren Cave celebrated his 31st birthday yesterday. O'Toole, welcome to the very highest level of club rugby, Tom O'Toole.
Play on, fair contest.
Referee happy with that. There's McCluskey. Out to Stockdale. That's not a bad kick by Stockdale. Where's it going to bounce? That's going to be a 22 dropout.
Yeah, disappointing in the end, wasn't it, after some prolonged multi-phase play. A couple of early touches for Tom O'Toole, and certainly felt the impact from Grant Gilchrist wearing the red scrum cap for Edinburgh. Listen, a nice start, Jim. 3 minutes of ball in terms of retention. Not an awful lot of change out of this Edinburgh defence, and that's something that Richard Cockrell has really instilled in the Scottish guys this year. Defence is paramount.
Also with 7 changes from the side that started against Cardiff a week ago. Richard Cockle, the Edinburgh coach, who's done so well this season with the side, has made 6-3 up front and 3 in the back division. Taken in by Diesel. Cooney fell over the Edinburgh skipper. McPhillips gets it away. That's nicely done by Ulster. And into touch and an Edinburgh line-out. So a little bit of adventure been shown by Ulster, and they have to show adventure because they have to win this game.
Yeah, and certainly with someone like Jacob Stockdale, Jim in current form, Six Nations player of the championship, it's important that Ulster try and get some ball in his hands and finding the edge of the Edinburgh defence early on.
Nigel Owens rejecting a plea for obstruction by Ulster, I do believe. Edinburgh still inside their own half. Stuart McNally, the Edinburgh skipper. That was nicely back from Grant Gilchrist. Well, that's a teaser if ever. Oh, well taken by Charles Piatow.
It's open play, open play.
Appeals for Blair Kinghorn being offside, but referee Nigel Owens said it was open play, which is fair enough. Diesel into contact, Best in there to help. Good quick ball by Ulster. McPhillips. Tom O'Toole popping up in the centre of the park. He's pretty quick for a prop forward. Nicely away now. There's a wee half chance here. McCluskey opts to take it on himself. He's made decent ground. And that looked like Toulis throwing himself all over the place. Ian Henderson, his opposite number. Ulster still inside their 10-metre line. Cooney ups to kick, and not a bad kick at that.
Yeah, again, just gives Ulster a little bit of field advantage, but they're not getting much change, Jim, down that 9-10 channel with one-off runners, double team from Edinburgh. And invariably Ulster stop behind the gain line, but great take from Piatow under massive pressure, flips the ball out the backside, and referee quite right, nothing set up, so Kinghorn well within his rights to make the attempt to tackle in Stockdale.
A week ago on this ground when Edinburgh lost to Cardiff, Cardiff were quite clever in terms of the variation. A lot of little pop kicks over the middle of the park which worked well to their effect. McNally again, Andrew Warwick at the back for Ulster. Toulis, Sam Hidalgo-Klein leaving Edinburgh at the end of this season. Phil Burley also leaving, the New Zealander. Bill Mata, Viliama his full name. Weir. Tackled by Darren Cave. First penalty coming, and it's going to be against Ulster. Somebody on their knees playing the man in the tackle. Mata gets it away. Advantage being played by referee Nigel Owens. Now can Edinburgh take advantage? Here goes Mark Bennett, the 25-year-old from Cumnock in Ayrshire. Nice part of the world. And Nigel says no advantage
when you get your hands
to
on the ball,
Edinburgh.
Rory, your knee was clearly on the ground. You want to putting your body weight, okay?
And he's penalised Rory Best, saying, as you can probably hear, not supporting his body weight.
These are on the ground.
So Weir takes it to line, Kinghorn steps inside, and this is classic Best. Second tackler over the ball, but Nigel Owens has decreed that his right knee has touched the turf, and he hasn't held his own body weight. He's pretty quick on the scene and gives the penalty quickly, and no advantage coming into Edinburgh. Gives Weir a chance now to try and pop this as close to the Ulster line as possible.
Duncan Weir got a bit of a thump in the middle of the back from Ian Henderson. And that's going to give Edinburgh the line out, and for the first time they're inside Ulster's 22.
In the same place.
Coming up to 8 minutes gone.
Okay, thanks.
Still no score. Worcester, the anticipated target for Duncan Weir next season, having spent so many of his formative years successfully in Glasgow. That's gone over the top. Is there anybody quick enough to get to it from an Ulster perspective? Rory Best, I think, just got there. And a penalty given away by Ulster, and this one is eminently kickable.
Back in your feet before you play the ball. You were on the floor. Ball came to you, then you played it back. You must get your feet.
Well, Rory Best made the initial contact with the ball, and then the referee decided that he didn't get to his feet before playing it again. Ooh, did Rory Best play it there? Was it kick forward into him? Was that harsh?
Yeah, potentially harsh, but certainly ball went back initially and then kicked forward, and I think Nigel maybe had a choice of two penalties there, Jim, playing the ball in an offside position.
If you're going down on the ball, it's not a problem. Because you were already on the floor and the ball comes back to you, you're out of the game. You've got to get back to your feet. Yeah, because you're on the floor and you played it back. That's why, okay? If you were going down on it, it's not a problem.
Yes, because Rory Best didn't actually go down and claim the ball completely. He was on the floor and the ball was loose and he was separated from the ball, and then he made an attempt to play it, or did play it, hence the penalty. Complicated, of course it is. Anyway, here's the man who broke not just Ulster hearts, but when he went to Galway and came on as a sub, broke Connacht hearts as well. And Duncan Weir has made no mistake with that one, and we played just over 9 minutes, and Edinburgh leading thanks to the penalty by Duncan Weir by 3 points to 0.
Yeah, slightly against the run of play, but the difference being Edinburgh get into point scoring position, Jim. They come away with something. Ulster spend 2-3 minutes camped outside the Edinburgh 22, come away with nothing.
Can't remember the last time Rory Best gave away 2 penalties in the same number of minutes.
Yeah, well, the problem with the second one as well, it's just so instinctive, isn't it? You're out of the game and the ball's there in front of you, tantalising as it is. It's difficult to say no.
Johnny McPhillips put that longish. It's gathered in by Burley, and that's a very good return kick. And Edinburgh back inside the Ulster half from the start. There he is, now 31 years of age, born in Christchurch in New Zealand, and spells with the Chiefs and the Highlanders. Joined Edinburgh some 4 years ago. Played over 70 games.
And talented outside half as well, Jim, giving Edinburgh that nice kicking option in the second 5/8 position.
Timeout.
Michael Webb, the senior Ulster medical official, gives Rory Best the towel. What a season he's had in the Green of Ireland. Well taken. Cooney got it away. McPhillips. Well, he just popped that up, and that was a complete lack of communication in the middle of the park, as Bill Mata took the kick, or took the pass, I should say. Here's Cooney. Gets himself ambushed, but strong enough to present the ball. Bradbury, winning his 50th cap, is there. Good work by Tom O'Toole, the teenage prop forward. What an experience this is going to be from him.
Stay out, Sam. I was on the line, Davis.
And again, it's Pieta with that left foot, and that's a very good clearance kick, taken quickly by Sam Hidalgo-Klein to Blair Kinghorn. Burley, and that's gone straight into touch, and a bit of a let-off for Ulster.
Yeah, maybe not the best kick off that left-hand side, but again, Ulster, Jim, count themselves unlucky. Clean take from Henderson, and basically miscommunication between McPhillips and Stockdale. And then Ulster again led off the hook by Hidalgo-Klein's poor box kick, trying to put that into Stockdale's corner. O'Toole started brightly though, carrying the ball hard at the gain line, and that's something Ulster really missed this year. And already in the opening 10 minutes, he's certainly showing his hand well.
Edinburgh have been putting a lot of pressure on the Ulster line-out. Not this time. That was the Dalton got it away. McPhillips. McCluskey had to check Ludick in the line. Charles Pieta gets it away to Stockdale. Oh, back inside, wonderful, what a way to celebrate your birthday. Darren Cave gets Ulster's first try of this evening. Now third in the all-time list of Ulster cap winners, behind Andrew Trimble and Roger Wilson. This is his 208th appearance, and that's a try he'll remember for a while.
Yeah, it's classic from Ulster, set piece. Backline defence, Cooney to transfer, slightly laboured from McCluskey, and then we see Ludick coming across, but look at Pieta. Bang, he's gone. Stockdale then does the right thing, holds his distance, pulls the full back, and Darren Cave does what Darren Cave does best, those inside trail lines. He's done them for years, Jim. They've always come up trumps for him. He scores a lot of tries from them. That's classic 13 play.
Yeah, and Stockdale just had that presence of mind following a terrific Six Nations campaign, just to hold the defender and transfer the ball to Darren Cave, who gets in for his 30th league try.
It's clinical from Ulster, using that extra man. Defence is back 10 off the line out. Ludick coming in off his wrong wing, making the extra number. But it's Pieta straightening and holding the outside defence, and that magic ball to Stockdale.
John Cooney with 124 league points this season. Make that 126, and having gone 3-0 down to a Duncan Weir penalty, Ulster now find themselves in the lead. We're still well inside the opening 15 minutes, and it's now Edinburgh 3 and Ulster 7.
Yeah, beautiful, wasn't it, from Stockdale? Takes Dougie Fife, pulls in Kinghorn as well because he gets on the outside shoulder. But again, the trail line from Cave. If you don't run them, you don't get them.
Yeah, nicely set up with this man who'll be missed off to
you're on now.
Bristol next year. Deisel takes it and he gets this sturdy Phil Burley at the same time, who's no small fella. Taken on by Matthew Ray. And again, back to Piatow. Now that's coming infield. Bill Mata gathers for 15 aside caps for Fiji and a gold medal, as we mentioned, in the sevens in Rio, the last Olympics. And he set it up nicely, so Edinburgh back on the challenge again. Bradbury, half century of caps today for the youngster, who was captain at the start of the season, but for off the field reasons, shall we say, was relieved of that responsibility. But here come Edinburgh again. Weir gets it away, taken on by Ben Toulis. Weir again. Burley. This is the youngster Jamie Ritchie. That wasn't a great attempt at a tackle there by Ulster. Hidalgo Klein. McInally gets across the 22. Edinburgh coming, bouncing back at Ulster. And Ulster give away another penalty again at the breakdown. And Nigel Owens is being pretty sharp, but I don't think he's being harsh.
You were affecting play.
No, the kick through. Clean ball it was for Edinburgh as well, after a great hit by Dalton and Henderson.
It's the timing on the...
Just see the pass going across McInally, who's done this all year for both Edinburgh and Scotland. You see Deisel over the ball. Well, it's actually kicked through from Hidalgo Klein, Jim. I think Nigel saw that in the big screen. He might change his mind. It looked as if
he's not going to, though, is he?
No, he's not. And Hidalgo Klein actually stepped in the ball as he was looking up to find his out half, and that's what caused the ball to spill out. Bill Matt has a sight to behold in full flight, isn't he? Big man really can shift. A bit of abject tackling there between 10 and 4 from Ulster. Dalton and McPhillips, the two youngsters. Nobody covering themselves in glory there.
No, you can't afford to do that at this level. So having opened the scoring, only to see Ulster take the lead. Here's Duncan Weir to close the gap to a single point. Leisurely swing of that right leg of his, and Duncan Weir's got his second penalty of the evening. Ulster still leading, but it's only a single point, and it's Edinburgh 6 and Ulster 7.
I think that's a sign, Jim, of what Richard Cockrell has turned this Edinburgh team into. They play pragmatic rugby. They played it in the right part of the pitch, and invariably once they get in and around that red zone, whether it's 3 or 7, they don't mind. Points is what they want, and that's twice they've been there, and they've come away with 2 scores.
That's not a bad kick for somebody to chase. Now, did Stockdale knock that on? The referee has let that go, and it was knocked back by Edinburgh, and Rory Best snaffled it, but has put a delicate foot in touch to give Edinburgh the line out. So that was a good restart kick by McPhillips. Pity there weren't more people actually chasing it.
Well, absolutely, but what Rory Best did well, they always look for someone, Jim, to go the long way round, to cover the long one for the tap back. Best, using all his experience, puts himself in the right part of the pitch.
Shortened line out for Edinburgh. Gilchrist to that familiar red scrum cap. It's called the maul. As Stuart McNally, the Edinburgh skipper, has it. Hidalgo Klein. That's not a bad kick. Stockdale, it's not a bad catch. Player of the Six Nations tournament. 7 tries, a tournament record in one season. Rory Best. Cooney falling over Gilchrist. A little show of the ball by Ulster. Cooney again. That's a clever little kick into a bit of space, but Hidalgo Klein covered it well.
Stay.
Piatow underneath that. Heads toward the far touchline. Cooney. Deisel. Enterprising stuff from Ulster, but they've lost about 10 metres. Henderson goes to ground. Quicker ball now. Cooney, McPhillips. That's nicely done. Ludick gets it away. Stockdale. Good acceleration from Matthew Ray. Ulster back into the Edinburgh
10
half.
Offside. Not Hymer's foot. 10 black.
Tom O'Toole, referee's got the hand out for a penalty against Edinburgh.
You never retreat there. You were in front
for
of
getting themselves offside. I think it was Duncan Weir not getting behind the hind foot, and this is just about within John Cooney's range.
Yeah, he's flipped it to Big Phillips, who looks as if he's going to go for the corner, Jim. But you mentioned earlier on a tactic that Edinburgh employed last week was to chip over the top. Cardiff, against Edinburgh in that European game. And what Edinburgh do, they really get out of the blocks quickly. A very, very flat line of defence, whether it's forwards with backs or backs on their own. And that grubber kick through or chip over the top can be very effective. So on the last occasion, Duncan Weir it was, too quick out of the blocks, and Nigel Owens gives the penalty. So we see the back line here. He's nowhere near. He's 2 yards in front of his fellow teammates, isn't he? 2 yards in front of the referee as well. So
at least
an easy one for Nigel Owens.
Ulster, come up from the line, lads, please.
27 Scottish caps.
Okay, it's good. Stay there.
Duncan Weir. Rory Best with 111 for Ireland. That's a good line out of the back, well taken in by Matthew Dalton. Stockdale very nearly getting through. Ulster still moving forward. Slower ball. Rory Best, nicely done. Great chance here for Ulster. Cave looking for a second. Good transfer. Piatow gets the second. Terrific piece of back play by Ulster. Set up well by the forwards. But on a perfect night in Scotland's capital, the handling had to be perfect, and it was perfect. Great try.
Yeah, great try indeed. But Jim, again, Dalton's been very impressive. A couple of good line-out takes, but it's quick ball in midfield. Forwards come round the corner. It's Cooney the best. And again, they shorten up that Edinburgh line. Edinburgh bite in. Cave takes it again, draws the cover. Piatow's on the outside, but again, it's quick ball and then running at space as well. Cave with the ball in 2 hands. Attracts Kinghorn. Piatow just really has to gather and go for the whitewash. Fantastic score.
Well, he's been a great asset to Ulster over the past couple of seasons. Unfortunately, Ulster Rugby will probably need to win the Euro Millions to have kept him. Tough kick this for John Cooney. He brought that in, not quite. However, as we go into the second quarter of this game, that try by Charles Piatow, following one by Darren Cave, puts Ulster 12-6 up.
Yeah, there's plenty of positive times for Jim for Ulster in terms of what they've done. Certainly, the amount of times they've got to the outside of the Edinburgh defence in this opening 20 minutes is probably more than they've done to any team in the last 3 games put together. So they've found a point of access in terms of how they're going to attack. Now can they keep that going?
Richard Cockrell, the Edinburgh head coach, getting somewhat agitated. Weir with the restart, same place, same player, John Dysel. Needs to protect the football, and that's good support play by Ulster's forwards, and Piatow just getting him into the position, but this time it's Cooney on his own, and that's an interesting kick. Mata must not be allowed to run, and he's not. But it was John Cooney had to make the tackle, helped by Rory Best. McAnally. Hidalgo Klein. It was Jamie Ritchie. Slow ball coming back. Now Edinburgh have it. Gilchrist will have a go. Good defending by Ulster in the middle of the park.
Ball is available. Don't you push it looking for the penalty.
Toulis. Edinburgh trying to create a bit of space here. This is Mata. Well, they get him eventually, but he's got to cross that all-important gain line. Penalty against Edinburgh.
He's on his feet.
Only the second penalty that Ulster have got this evening. Yeah,
Stockdale taking the plaudits this time. Rory Best not far behind, but what Best did well, Jimmy felt himself going off his knees. We see the ball from Toulis. We're again looking for Mata in the outside channel. McPhillips missed him. Best puts him away. You see Rory in, he's off his feet, but Stockdale very, very quickly onto the ball. Perfectly legal, he's on his feet. Edinburgh unable to move him off it. Correct decision by the referee.
Don't push people out of the way if they're not in your way, okay? If he does, I'll deal with it. Don't push him if you don't need to, okay? I'll deal with it.
Nigel Owens telling Jacob Stockdale not to push somebody who's not in your way. Good advice. 23 minutes played. Ulster leading by 2 tries to 0. The 2 Duncan Weir penalties kept Edinburgh very much in touch.
Come up, please, lads, come up.
Talk to me, son, man. Talk to me here, son, man.
Well, taken by Henderson. Wide pass now, McPhillips. Diesel. Good drop of the shoulder and good ground made. Cooney again. Oh, Stockdale. Fabulous stuff from Stockdale. Back inside to Cooney. It's going to be a third try for Ulster and an absolute gem. What a piece of maturity by Jacob Stockdale, who gets better all the time. He cut right through. Cooney was on his elbow. The transfer was perfect and the finish was delightful.
Yeah, there's a lot of accuracy in that, Jim. Again, coming from a line out, a set piece restart. Good darts from Rory Best. Finds Henderson in the middle. Stockdale cutting that line. Cooney's flat. Pass is going backwards, there's no doubt about that. And John Cooney then has the pace to outstrip the covering Edinburgh defence and just got down to the right of the post, making his potential conversion easier. But there we see the pass from Stockdale again. Two hands going backwards. Cooney again on this occasion running that tremendous inside trail run.
Wonderful incisiveness by Jacob Stockdale, but wonderful maturity from him as well. He's given two splendid scoring passes.
He has, Jim, but the two of the three scores so far have come from lineouts. Been good arrows from Rory Best, been good set piece. They've been taken towards the back, tying in what's left of the Edinburgh back row. But then it's simple strike running, quick ruck ball. That's essential in this game. Quick ruck ball to open up spaces outside. And whenever you have strike runners like Stockdale, you give him half a chance, he's going to take it.
Conversion was by John Cooney. Here it is again, Cooney, and look at the acceleration of Stockdale, and knew that there was somebody on his shoulder. May not have known it was Cooney, but Cooney knew it was Cooney. What a good finish by Ulster's scrum half, and who's added a little flourish at the end, and a third try for Ulster, and there's now a 12-point gap, and we've still 15 minutes of this first half to play. So it's Duncan Weir. Again longish, and again highish, and again taken by John Diesel. This time he comes infield. Matthew Ray makes a bit of ground. Piatow in the outside half position. Ooh, dangerous stuff by Piatow. Strong enough to get away from the tacklers, but he's cost Ulster maybe 10 metres. And there's nobody there now to take on that kicking role. Rory Best certainly won't be doing that, but he'll be setting the ball up. Well, Edinburgh not exactly getting back quickly. Gilchrist just meandering. Cooney. Now where's that going? That's going infield, back inside. Nicely done by Stockdale. Good take on by Ulster. Matthew Ray across the 10-metre line. Good chance this now. If Ulster can shift the ball. McPhillips decides to keep the lid on it. It's a clever kick. Oh, that's a more than a clever kick. That's a magnificent kick by him.
That's quality from McPhillips, isn't it? Edinburgh just looking a little bit predictable, Jim. Nell Malone has obviously done his homework well with the VTs, worked out the Edinburgh patterns in terms of how they like to play the game. And Ulster really shutting down most of their advances at the minute, bar the two penalties. But what's been impressive have been the youngsters. We look at O'Toole, Matty Ray, Dalton, all three of those guys up front, really flying the flag at the minute for this Ulster team, leading by example.
We haven't had a scrum yet.
You know, and that's 25 minutes into the game. Almost incredible.
Good challenge by Ulster.
Sacked immediately.
Referee happy that the player was allowed to come to ground before he was sacked, as Nigel Owens put it. Slow ball for Edinburgh.
Okay, Hughes.
Hidalgo Klein playing footsie with the ball. And that's a good clearance. It's going into touch before Jacob Stockdale put a hand on it, I think. Or maybe not.
Yeah, I think bounced in, field, Jim hit Stockdale and went into touch.
Hence the line out to Edinburgh. They'd be pleased with that, and Stockdale will not be pleased with that. But you can't really fault him for his performance so far, can you?
No, not really. And again, it was a heck of a buck kick from Hidalgo Klein with that left foot, and Stockdale just wind swirling slightly, just unable to position himself as the ball moved in the air, and unfortunately coughed up the error for the Ulster side.
Gilchrist wins it. Hidalgo Klein looking for a runner, gets it in the shape of the strong running Burley.
And lost now.
Quicker ball by Edinburgh. Good defending in the middle of the park by Ulster. Hidalgo Klein again. Simon Bergen. That was Blair Kinghorn who came in. Duncan Weir gets sacked, as they say in American football parlance. Tom O'Toole out very quickly, and he's come to the near side. Mata, given no room to stretch those big legs of his. Hidalgo Klein, well away by Lay. Chance now for Edinburgh. They seem to have created a bit of an overlap here. Good covering by Ulster. Lots of white shirts getting back. Not too many committed to the breakdown. Edinburgh's tight forwards again. Coming up to half an hour played. Ulster 3 tries to nil up, and they got the penalty at the breakdown again. That's good defending by Ulster.
It's brilliant at the breakdown, being led by Rory Best in there. He's made some crucial hits getting off the line. Matty Dalton and Timoney as well, but you've got to stay on your feet in there. We see when McAnally takes it in. It's Timoney, wrestles him to the ground. That's John Diesel who gets over, big and strong, locks the arms on, stays in his feet. Fairly simple again for Nigel Owens.
Yeah, he likes a simple life, Nigel. Doesn't like things to be too complicated.
He does, but if you, Jim, again, it's a simple. If you attack and can stay on your feet and create quick ball, but if you can stay on your feet defensively as well, you're going to give away penalties whenever you go off your feet, come in the side, fall on top of the ball. It makes life easier for the referee, but you get on his good side as well. Stay on the right side of the referee, makes life simple for you.
Well, a number of changes from the loss in Cardiff in the Ulster pack. Matty Ray and John Diesel in the back row. Matthew Dalton in the second row. Tom O'Toole and Rory Best in the front row. That's Henderson, well taken. Well by Timoney. Interception, oh dear. This is going to be a gift for Edinburgh. I don't think Piatow is going to get there. Oh, and Weir has done it again. He has broken Celtic hearts in recent weeks, and that was on a plate. And you don't think he's that quick, but I tell you something, he really raced across that immaculate Edinburgh turf, and that's given Edinburgh a huge confidence boost and will dent Ulster's confidence, who didn't need to give away a soft try like that.
No, again, it's a line out that functioned well, and Cooney takes it coming round, looking for a screen pass across, and Weir picks it 60 metres out. It's just about now, Jim, the oil light comes on. He wasn't happy seeing Piatow, but he was glad to see the whitewash and slides in from 5 out. But again, he's read that well. He's been able to pick it coming. He's made no attempt to pick up the defender. He's going for the intercept all day long. He'll take the 5 points and hope to make it 7 with the conversion.
If he can gather his breath, he certainly will, but he looks pleased enough.
Against the run of play, though, in many ways, also looked so composed for the last 20 minutes. Again, nice clean line out ball, and just one of those, as you say, maybe not too adventurous, but just looking for a simple play. And credit to Duncan Weir. Sometimes you read those and you have to just go for it. Right place, right time.
So Weir to keep himself as the only point scorer for Edinburgh this evening, and he makes no mistake with the close range conversion. So all of a sudden the 19-6 lead by Ulster doesn't look quite so good. We have about 8.5 minutes to go to the interval, and it's Edinburgh 13 and Ulster 19.
Yeah, so it's Henderson and John Cooney looking for McCluskey in midfield, and telegraphed slightly, maybe one would say, but Weir still had to finish it off.
It's been a season of interceptions. Just ask Jacob Stockdale. Richard Cuckle a little bit happier. Good restart kick by Ulster. Gilchrist took it well though for Edinburgh.
First man in before the maul, fine.
Rory Best gets in very quickly and tries to put the clamp on. Hidalgo Klein. Weir. Edinburgh putting a bit of width on it. That's not the greatest pass in the world. That's gone out wide to Duhan van der Merwe. Left for Hidalgo Klein. Ulster almost straying offside. Mata takes it forward now for Edinburgh. Hidalgo Klein shaping up to kick down that narrow far side. There's not a lot of room there, but he's kicked well. A lot of hang on that. Knocked back on the Ulster side.
Off black for me there, off black.
Cooney. Diesel. It's across halfway. It's a good drive by the South African. Cooney again. Ulster wary now of the intercept threat, and they've managed to spill it forward. It was ripped away by Edinburgh. Here comes Weir, and Ulster looking a bit short on numbers out this side, especially pace men. Oh, here's Kinghorn's got away, and Edinburgh back into this game. Kinghorn kicks and chases and it's going to go dead, and it's going to be a 22. And Ulster have played a get out of jail card there. That really should have been an Edinburgh try. Such was the overlap.
Yeah, Matty Dalton won't be pleased. He cops up the ball, taking into traffic. Kinghorn just strips Rory Best on the outside, and probably the only option open to him, Jim, apart from to take the contact coming inside, ran away from his support, and Ulster more than happy to see that going dead. You see Dalton here, McAnally with the rip as he goes down, and counter-attack ball so dangerous, and Edinburgh almost come up with the goods.
Only 21 years of age, Blair Kinghorn. He really is a serious Scottish prospect.
Very cross.
Johnny McPhillips, another man who came through underage rugby. That's long, and that's to Mata. Now he will want to run, and he does run, but he's well tackled. Weir. It's for Louis Ludick, and he takes it quite splendidly.
Oh, that's fine. Play on.
Cooney, man down injured. Here comes Piatow, nicely done. Timoney gets it away to McCluskey. He's going to step inside, needs a bit of help, and he's still going.
Not held back.
Cooney. Tom O'Toole, who's played really well in his Ulster debut. But the last time there was a teenager played in the front row for Ulster was Jimmy McCoy away back, dear knows how many years ago. That's a great kick by McPhillips.
Yeah, McPhillips really controlling this game nicely. Big Bill Mata went down in midfield for Edinburgh at that last play after the carry, and Ulster then turned it over with Ludick, and McPhillips spotted the mismatch in midfield, threw the wide pass, and they attacked that area. But he's controlled the ball well, Jim, in terms of his kicking options. He's moved the ball around nicely as well. He's getting a little bit of an armchair ride, not too much pressure coming on to him from Edinburgh, but Cooney's giving him a service, but we're giving Ulster a chance. He's making some angles outside and creating width in the game.
And unfortunately for Ulster, Bill Mata is fine again. This is Edinburgh's skipper, Stuart McAnally. Shortened line out. He's got to get it in. And he does, and he finds Gilchrist. Ulster let him touch the ground, then they put the pressure on. McAnally, who threw it in, has gathered it in now, as Edinburgh try to just make a little bit of ground on that far touchline from our comedy position here at Murrayfield. Referee said, Edinburgh, you're going nowhere. That's a very, very good clearance kick from Sam Hidalgo-Klein.
Absolutely magnificent pinpoint as well, just mere inches into touch, but I'm sure that's going 35, nay 40 metres, and with less than a 5 metre channel to work with, Jim, that's accuracy for you.
Just 4 minutes remaining to the interval. Ulster will be happy enough not to concede anything further and perhaps add to that total. And they lose the line out, which won't help, and Duncan Weir thought about the kick, gives it to Mata, who only thinks about the running. Hidalgo-Klein. Edinburgh trying to engineer an overlap here. They might just have done it. Good defending by Ulster. That was Darren Cave with the tackle. Hidalgo-Klein. Big Ben Toulis taken by Tom O'Toole. Gilchrist with the red hat. Well done, that's gone wide. Looks like Bradbury takes it down that far touchline. Ulster have a man down injured in the tackle, or after the tackle, or because of the tackle. Edinburgh again. Toulis. Good defending in the middle of the park by Ulster. There's a kick into a bit of space there, and it's been chased down by Duhan van der Merwe, but the bounce was unkind to the South African, who's made a big impression here. Born in George from 22 years ago, a real flying machine.
A big boy as well, Jim. He's absolutely massive thighs on him, and that's Louis Ludick down, and Ulster will be concerned about this. History of head injuries this year, and he's back. His back, I hope it's his back, but he's really caught one there from Bradbury. But again, clever from Edinburgh the way they brought that back in field, and then Hidalgo-Klein changes to kick that down the empty right hand side, and Piatow was there for Ulster, but if a more fortuitous bounce and they could have been in trouble, and Edinburgh could have been in.
It was a very, very brave tackle by Louis Ludick, and the old cliche about putting the body on the line, he really did it, because Magnus Bradbury is a big unit.
Yeah, well, the one thing this Edinburgh back row have with Bradbury and Mata, they've two guys really who carry hard and carry fast, and the one thing you'll never say about Louis Ludick is a lack of heart and a lack of endeavour. He gives it 100% every day of the week and pulls off some big tackles.
Ospreys at home to Connacht, leading Connacht by 20 points to 7. And Ospreys making a very late bid for a chance to qualify for the European Champions Cup next year. And of course, they're coming to the Kingspan Stadium at Ravenhill Park in Belfast this night week. A game you can see with us here on BBC 2 Northern Ireland. So Ospreys 20, Connacht 7 here at Murrayfield. It's Edinburgh 13, Ulster 19. Louis Ludick is getting back into position. I'm not sure he's anything near 100%, but unless it's pretty serious, Ludick, who's been a terrific asset for Ulster over the last few seasons, will stay on the field. It's an Ulster line-out, and stolen yet again. Here come Edinburgh, looking for something more before the interval. A converted try would give them a lead. It's taken on by Jordan Lay, the Samoan international, who's also leaving at the end of the season. Simon Bergen, who's not leaving. And the Scottish international prop, Duncan Ware. Again, Ulster getting the men across and trying to hold Edinburgh out before the interval. Edinburgh seem to have got a new lease of life. They've got somebody down injured. Mata leaves the ball for Hidalgo Klein. Ware looking for a bit of width on it. This is good stuff by Edinburgh. There's a danger man, Kinghorn. Unfortunately for Ulster, they just managed to shut him down. Hidalgo Klein again. Duncan Ware taken on by Simon Bergen, who ran a good angle.
Okay there?
All the pressure coming from Richard Cockrell's men. That's gone wide. And again, Ulster have to tackle. And again, it's Louis Ludick who's taking a battering out there. And Ulster have managed to steal that one. Play on, says the referee. I think there might be an advantage to Ulster kicking the ball in the ruck, and an Edinburgh foot was in, according to Nigel Owens, and that will relieve things a wee bit for Ulster, Tony.
Yeah, massive set defensively for Ulster, Jim, as you said. So important to try and keep them out to half time, and a minute and a half with the clock still running. Ulster now get a chance to recover and get away. Louis Ludick again taking a little bit of attention. Massive tackle on Ritchie again down that right hand side. And
don't think we're going to see much more of Louis Ludick, and a lot of rugby fans will be very sorry to see him go, but we're equally pleased to see a certain Tommy Bowe coming on. There's the penalty was given away with the Edinburgh foot was in there. I think it was Sam Hidalgo Klein, and here is the instantly recognisable Thomas J. Bowe, winning his 165th cap for Ulster, 69 for Ireland, 2 Lions tours, etc. Sorry to see Louis Ludick go, and he's saying to Darren Cave, look, I'm all right. But the first tackle, I think he jarred his back, and he put in another one. And I don't think it's a head injury at all. I think it's just he's jarred his back.
No, thankfully not. Looks a bit of maybe soft tissue injury, but really doesn't leave the pitch easily, Jim, as you say. 2 massive tackles there, which have really come to Ulster's aid and benefit over the last 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, that's sad to see. I don't think there's that much to worry about. Johnny McPhillips has found a very good touch. What a terrific kick from the far side of the field, right away down the old tram lines there. Into the final minute of the game, and Ulster have relieved the situation. Tommy Bowe on for Louis Ludick. Ulster leading by 3 tries to 1, but there's only 6 points between them.
Time out, we'll get the hooker to stand and we'll stay there, okay? Don't move because they're following. Keep the gap there, stay there. Okay, keep the space.
Very best to pick the right spot and stay in it, because if he moves, everybody else moves accordingly. That's a bit better from Ulster. Now it's Cooney. Dysel stopped in his tracks, but spins round and sets it up. Cooney again. Better stuff in the middle of the park by Ulster. Cooney. Henderson thought about the inside pass to Warwick, who was thundering up. Now Cooney. Rory Best. McPhillips. Darren Cave. Oh, that's a pretty poor pass. The ball is all over the place. Where's it going? Can Ulster gather? The answer is yes, they can. Little chip down the tram lines by Stuart McCluskey, and that's going to go dead, and that should be half time. And Ulster finishing in the Edinburgh half, and Nigel Owens has to ask the TMO, who was one Sean Brickell, his fellow Welshman, who tells him that is time, and Nigel blows the whistle, and Ulster leading by 6 points by 3 tries to 1. But this game is still, Tony, just a brief summary, likely to go either way.
Yeah, very much so. Also good value, Jim, for their 13 points. Just a couple of late turnovers there, giving Edinburgh a little bit of advantage, and obviously the 7 points from the intercept. But John O'Gibbs will be really happy. The young boys very much in the fore. Good to see Henderson and Rory Best back in the van as well up front. They've really led by example.
Well, it has not been a bad first half. It wasn't a great start for Ulster. Conceded an early penalty, but by half-time they scored 3 ties. Charles Piatow, Darren Cave, and one by John Cooney, who's kicked a couple of conversions. Half-time score here at Murrayfield is Edinburgh 13 and Ulster 19.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Jim. It's been compelling and it's been competitive. We're taking things over with the bit. Stockdale then sets Darren Cave on his way. And for good measure, Charles Piatow also gets in on the act. And then Weir does a Stockdale intercept. It's Edinburgh 13. It is Ulster 19. And we trust that you're enjoying it, lads. We certainly have. Both of you, to be fair, said that you expected a response from Ulster. Ian, it certainly came.
Yeah, I mean, the energy that Ulster have shown this first half has been tremendous. They've just gone out there right from the start, taking it to them, the physicality and defence. Quite often that shows the mindset. And they've just been getting off the line really quickly, really aggressively. A lot of good tackles. Tom O'Toole particularly showing up. Rory Best getting involved heavily. And it's great to see the impact that they've made.
And your old mate, Darren Cave, he hasn't played a lot this season. I think it's maybe January since he last started. But he was hungry for the line, and Stockdale does what Stockdale does best, Stephen.
Darren's always good for a try. He's always thereabouts. He's always trailing on the inside, so whenever there's a break, he always anticipates that there will be a break. And Ian can probably talk through this better than I can, just the backs move that the throat goes here, Ian.
You see that Ulster, they've been using the second wave attack, but what you can see, Piatow managed to move off the ball. The defender gets caught ball, watching he gets outside, which means the last Edinburgh defender has to commit, and just a lovely offload.
Yeah, talk me through Piatow's involvement in this, because this offload's sublime.
You just see the Edinburgh defence gets caught looking in. I think that's the Edinburgh winger is a little bit tight, and then just great support play by Darren Cave. He's made a career to following up the inside. And he's an intelligent rugby player, not the quickest, not the strongest, but his lines and his knowledge is second to none. And Jacob Stockdale, just great handoff to get away from the inside defence and lovely finish.
And you can see what it means to him, Stephen. I mean, for Darren Cave in particular, I think he's now the third most capped Ulster player, and couldn't have hammered in as a guy to get that opening score in the cathedral that is Murrayfield. I
think so. 208 appearances. He scored a handful of tries for Ulster. He's always there. He's been a one-club man. I think he's up in the air. Next year's contract ends at the end of this season. But he's a great team guy. He's a good man to have about, and he's always good for a try. And if somebody picks up an injury along the way, Darren Cave can come straight in and do a job, as we've seen tonight. He probably hasn't had as much game time this season as he would have liked, but that's the way it goes. And he's been given an opportunity tonight, and first try, he's taken it.
And he has a hand in the second try, in a big hand. I think it was Rory Best, and eventually Darren offloads into the path of Charles Piatow. And Piatow, you can tell he's just really up for it this evening.
Yeah, they're full of energy. Another ball off the top, another good line out that they managed to get away with Nick Timoney. And Ulster have taken away from the point of attack. They're not trying to take on the Edinburgh forwards. And a lovely tip on here by Rory. You see the Edinburgh defence, how tight they get, and that just extra little pass. Piatow and Ludick get caught a little bit behind, but the pace to catch up, and that's a good finish.
When you say that Edinburgh defence is getting tight there, are they getting too tight?
They're getting lazy. If you notice the Edinburgh defence there, they didn't number up. The whole of the Ulster team was getting around the corner, and the Edinburgh defence, there was 3 or 4 guys that had gone up from that line out, were just still on the short side. So Richard Cockerell won't be happy with the work rate from his team to get around the corner and match up. But take nothing away from Ulster's attack there. Rory Best, sees it get in front and tips it on to Johnny McPhillips, who keeps the attack moving, and everybody's running onto the ball at pace, which we haven't seen over the last number of weeks.
And getting lazy, where does that stem from? What does that come from? Is it lack of leadership? Is it just a degree of apathy?
I think what that comes from is Edinburgh. They'll have watched Ulster in the past and they'll have crashed up in midfield. Then they'll be expecting the forwards to come around the corner. But you see, obviously, Johnny McPhillips is in Rory's ear just chatting to him to tip on. Rory would probably be expected to carry that. But they're just playing a bit of heads up tonight, and you just see the enthusiasm they're playing, that they're not going through the motions. They're trying to play the second wave attack. You look at the third try, and it comes from Jacob Stockdale running behind a short runner, which Ulster haven't really been showing that ambition perhaps as much, and you just see that it looks like Dwayne Peel's just gone out there and said, fellas, just go and enjoy it, play your natural game, and
shackles off. Yeah,
and it just suits these guys. The forwards are getting quick ruck ball, they've been really aggressive, and when you have that quick ball, when you have those carries, it gives you enthusiasm, it gives you the energy, and you just hope that after losing a few line-outs and the intercept, that they don't go back into their shell, they stay positive and keep playing this exciting brand of rugby.
Before we take a look at the third try, you guys are telling me what's happening. Can you tell me why it's happening, Stephen? Why are Ulster up for it this evening? What's the difference? Is it the return of Rory Best and obviously Stockdale and Henderson there as well? Is it that simple, or is there something more at play here?
Well, there's a number of things. I think the game's been played at a really good pace, which suits Ulster. It's not like it was back in Belfast where it was pick and goes for 80 minutes by the Edinburgh team. Ulster know that they don't have these big, huge men up front that are going to get you over the gain line time and time again, and they're just moving the ball. And when they move the ball, they look very, very dangerous. When you have Charles Piatai, Jacob Stockdale, big game players that can make an impact, then that's the game plan they want to stick to. But they haven't been able to implement that over the last number of weeks. Is that a confidence thing? Has Rory Best, Jacob Stockdale, Ian Henderson injected some confidence into this team over the last couple of weeks? Probably, yes. But I think it's just shackles off, backs are against the wall. Let's go out and put in a performance. It's a perfect pitch. It's a great night over there in Edinburgh, and look what can happen.
For all those big names and physically big men in stature, there's room for the little men. John Cooney, he runs in the third one. Ian, just talk us through this one, because again, Stockdale involved. Yeah,
it's another good set play that'll be pre-planned. A nice carry up the middle early, and a good early ball by Johnny McPhillips, not take it to the line, which gives Dysel time to go over the line. And you just see the hard line from Cave. Both two defenders biting in, expecting the early ball, and again, good support runners by the scrum half. You notice the good scrum halves, they follow up field as soon as they made the pass. Cooney there follows up instead of looking for the next ruck and keeping the ball alive, second touch, inside ball. And it's just the energy, everyone wants to get involved. Look at Johnny McPhillips on the outside, trying to get in the mix. There's no guys hanging off for the second, third, fourth phase. They're looking to bust each time they get the ball. It's great to see. It's lovely as a fan to see them with that excitement again.
And many times we've seen Ruan Pinar over the last 3 or 4 years run exactly the same line there as John Cooney, and scoring tries underneath the sticks. So John's a fantastic player, and he's been one of Ulster's most consistent players this season, and it's good to see him keep ticking along with another score.
Can you fault him at all then for, as I say, Weir does a Stockdale, the intercept, and is this just Weir taking a chance on it paying off? Because of course John Cooney is the man who throws the intercept pass.
Yeah, again, another pre-planned move where they're trying to get at Duncan Weir. A little bit of a hesitancy there, but Duncan Weir's taking a risk. He doesn't catch up McCluskey's under the stick, so it's one of those ones, it's a high risk by Duncan Weir, who obviously has probably told his centre that he's going to go for it, so his centre has to be after him. But Cooney, he's looking for McCluskey. He can't really see Duncan Weir coming. The only option is to hit potentially Dice on the shoulder, but it's a high risk, high reward for Edinburgh, and unfortunately it just swings momentum, and you hope that Ulster can then just put that behind them and keep that positive attitude that we're saying. This is where you want Roy to be leading, you want Henderson to be leading, saying, listen, forget about it, let's go back to what we were doing, keep the energy, keep getting off the line, and mistakes happen, and not to worry too much.
I think if you probably agree with me, Ian, that Ulster have been the better side in the first half. You take away that 7-pointer there for Edinburgh, and Ulster have been by far the better team. They've scored the better tries. They've been on top of them up front. The ruck ball's been really fast. Their kicking game has been much better. So right across the board, Ulster have been better. However, the Edinburgh team are still very much in this, 19-13 at half-time, and it would be a real shame if they go out in the second half and end up, the final whistle blows and they're on the end of another defeat, because Edinburgh have won the last 5 games in a row, and they'll be looking to get a 6th.
We've been pretty forensic there, and I want in the evenings in it to broaden the discussion just a little bit, lads. Paddy Jackson and Stuart Oldham, we know, suspended this evening pending an ongoing Irish rugby review. A question to both of you. As recently retired players, what elements do you feel that review will be looking at in terms of the player's contract? What will that review be focusing on? And that, of course, post the trial, the high-profile trial, when both men were acquitted.
It's obviously a very sensitive situation. As players, whenever we were playing, to be honest, we wouldn't have looked in depth at our contracts. We'd have left it up to the agents, and Ireland have standardised contracts that are the same for all the guys. So it's a case of the only concern really the player would have been the salary. That's the only consideration they would have had. So
that's what you looked at every time anyway, Ian.
Well, Stephen,
for me, and I'll just touch on that, what Ian's saying. For me, when I was sitting down in front of my agent, the contract was put in place. I didn't go through the 50 pages of small print that there was on it. You pay an agent to put trust in what he's putting in front of you, and I done that, and I didn't get a solicitor or anything else to go through all the small print. So I think over the next few weeks, I hope it's sorted out quicker rather than later.
Are you aware if there was a bringing the game into disrepute clause or equivalent in your professional contracts?
I wasn't. Do you know what? I wasn't. I just woke up every day and went about my job as being a professional rugby player, lived and breathed it, and that's the way I looked upon it. And when I signed another contract, I just left all the small print and all the legal stuff to my agent, and that's what you pay them for. So to answer your question, no.
And it's as simple as that, Ian, from your perspective, is that's what the review will be focusing on. Have they or have they not brought the game into disrepute? Beyond this, do you feel what has gone on off the field has impacted on Ulster on the field, notwithstanding this evening's fine performance?
Yeah, it possibly has. Obviously, you lose 2 players of that standard. That they were huge players for Ulster for the last number of years, and you add in the fact that Jared Payne's been unavailable, Marcel Coetzee has obviously been unavailable. It's a big loss. So Paddy Jackson particularly, I guess, has been a leader who has always been groomed to be the next Ulster captain. So it's a huge loss for Ulster Rugby. Saying that, they've had quality with Leila Fano coming through, McCluskey's done well, Cooney's done well at 9. So they've had the tools to be able to survive without them. And I think tonight's shown that they've obviously got a squad that's capable of going anywhere and getting the win.
Appreciate your thoughts, gents, as always. Meantime, Ulster, as you can see, are nearly back on the field of play. So let's get back to Murrayfield and let's say good evening once more to Tony McWhirter and Jim Neely.
Well, good evening for the second time. Just the one change on the Ulster side from the 15 that started this game. Just before half-time, Louis Ludock had taken a couple of hard tackles that has left the field. Tommy Bowe is on wearing number 23. The Edinburgh side are probably getting a fair old talking to from head coach Richard Cockerill, just taking their time and keeping Ulster waiting. But the weather has been pretty decent all the way through this game, and with the pitch in good condition, well, who knows what's going to happen. Ulster, as the chaps in the studio were discussing, did not really want to be conceding that rather soft 7-pointer, but then Edinburgh would say that they conceded a couple of soft 7-pointers to Glasgow last week when they were knocked out of the European Challenge Cup. Gave away a couple of soft tries, not quite as soft as the intercept, but part and parcel of the game. So I'm sure Edinburgh will be coming out, and right on cue here comes Stuart McNally, their hooker and captain, followed by the man with all the hair, Big Ben Toulouse. Not a bad crowd here. That over 7,500 here last week. I was expecting maybe 4,000 here this evening, and just a little cursory glance down at the Edinburgh team as they come out. No changes from the starting 15. What are you expecting for this second half, Tony?
Well, I expect the Edinburgh to really come out of the blocks, Jim, if the truth be told. I would think Richard Cockerill, we saw a couple of glimpses of him in the first half in the booth, and he won't be happy. And he's a man that speaks from the heart and speaks from the head, and I would say they've had it give it to them at half time. A couple of minutes later onto the pitch than the Ulster side. So I think they'll look to come out quickly. McPhillips, it's important from an Ulster perspective. McPhillips starts well in the second half. His kicking game was instrumental in the first half, playing territory. Ulster are ahead, they'll obviously want to stay there as well, but they've got to play this game in the right parts of the pitch.
There's the man who's got all Edinburgh's points, all 13, Duncan Weir, a try conversion, a couple of penalties, leaving the club at the end of the season for past year's new. And Johnny McPhillips, who had a pretty impressive opening 40 minutes, gets this second 40 minutes underway. That's down to Gilchrist, midway between the 22 and the 10-metre line of the hosts here, Edinburgh. Bradbury tries to set it up. Hidalgo Klein, who's kicking from the base of the Rucker Mole, has been outstanding. Oh, badly missed tackle there by Ulster. McCluskey just overshot his man. But Ulster get the ball carrier at the second attempt. Hidalgo Klein, that's come out the side, and referee happy enough for that. That's a good steal by Ulster. Tom O'Toole takes on Gilchrist and sets it up nicely. Good work by the young prop. McCluskey, well taken by Tommy Bowe. Now it's Piatow. He's got a Stockdale outside him. Piatow gets away and dispossessed. The ball is, although there's no rain, Tony, it's getting a little bit dampish.
Yeah, there's certainly a little bit of grease from the ball now, Jim, as well, but Ian Henderson did a heck of a man-handling job there in Edinburgh. McCluskey flew up and missed the tackle, and Henderson picked up the pieces in behind and almost turned the ball over, but just composure from Ulster at this stage. It's important the likes of Dalton and O'Toole, once they're carrying ball, that it comes back. Don't be too exuberant, don't go that yard too far where you can get stripped. Ulster have maintained, and from the first half with quick balls been so effective for them.
Edinburgh's line-out has been just about perfect all the way through. That was Magnus Bradbury who took that one. Ulster digging in. Hidalgo Klein with that familiar box kick down the far touchline. And Ulster managed to keep that in field. Cooney has to wait until somebody gets into position though. Good defending there by Edinburgh first up, and Ulster conceded 3 or 4 metres, but they still have the ball. O'Toole again over the 10-metre line. Plenty of height on that, wee bit longish. Kinghorn takes it with ease. He's got Mata outside him and ups the kick, and that might just go dead for a 22 dropout, and that's going to be the case. And all the way back goes to McPhillips, who started it off, and he'll just take his time. But Edinburgh have now got considerable territorial advantage, which they didn't enjoy right from the start of the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. Kinghorn's a real danger weapon for Edinburgh. Jim, as you say, he's only 21 years old, 6'4", 6'5", very quick as well, and Ulster need to be good in their chase if they're going to kick at him. If they kick away free ball like that, he can really cause problems defensively for you.
Also need to be very sharp from here on in. They can't. There's no ultimate room for complacency. McPhillips with the long one. Bounces handily for big Bill Mata. McInally, and we're trying to stretch a little bit. Kinghorn, the danger man. You can see what a danger he is. I'll start very quickly. Matthew Dalton caught in 2 minds there. Hidalgo Klein, Lay, the loose head prop, who's pretty mobile, not the biggest prop in the world, but gets about the park. Duncan Weir gets it away. This is nicer from Edinburgh, trying to bring in Dougie Fife on the far side and into touch. And knocked on, and are we going to have the first scrum of the game? Well, that's going to be very interesting. Edinburgh trying to put a bit of width on it. And Fife back in field, and with McCluskey breathing down on him, he just spilled the ball forward. Amazing, we went 40 minutes without a single scrum, Tony. I've never seen that before.
Absolutely incredible, Jim. Even given them the modern parlance of the Super 15 in the Southern Hemisphere, where it's more like basketball than it is rugby, but to have no set piece. I'm sure young Tom O'Toole is looking forward to getting down and having a grapple, though. He's had an outstanding first 45 minutes in broken play. But this is the real bread and butter stuff for your tight head prop, and
yeah, this is where tight heads earn their corn.
Listen, there's no better man beside him than Rory Best either. Probably the best scrummaging hooker in world rugby, and he'll have to stick nice and close to O'Toole just to give him that Ulster bit of ballast. And obviously Henderson then on the right hand lock as well. So he's got the right man beside him and behind him.
Crouch, a fair bit heavier. Overall pack weight about 917 kilos to 892. Down on the near side, on Tom O'Toole's side. Now, was he bringing it down, or was the Edinburgh loosehead Jordan Lay going down? O'Toole just a couple of years ago was playing for the Campbell College First 15, where he was boarding Drogheda, then was in Australia for 10 years, played underage rugby in Queensland. And he's played for Ulster and Irish at under-18-19 level, and then the Junior World Cup, and most recently in the under-26 nations.
Bind.
This is a real test.
Set. Keep it up.
Big squeeze by Edinburgh in the Ulster pit, and John Dysel spills it forward, and Ulster have given Edinburgh a ball, and they've given Edinburgh a lot of space, and this could be very dangerous. The tackle has to be made. That is a great tackle by Darren Cave. Weir again. Henderson up like a steam engine. Well presented. Chance on the narrow side for Edinburgh. That's gone wide. To Duhan van der Merwe. He's inside Ulster's 22. Ulster battling away, but Edinburgh have secured it again. Ritchie. Hidalgo Klein. Gilchrist with the assist for Edinburgh. Hidalgo Klein again. Bit of a fumble, but Duncan Weir gets it away. Ulster hold them up in the middle of the park now. That's going to be a maul. Has it been called? It's been called by Nigel Owens. It is a maul. And if he blows his whistle, that should be an Ulster scrum.
The maul is formed, lads. Clearly formed.
That's a good bit of defending in the centre of the park by Ulster.
Yeah, brilliant. McCluskey and Dysel just get the ball. McAnally's very, very effective. Jim carrying the ball as well. But on this occasion, if you go in carrying the ball up there, you see Dysel just hits him, rolls him. Matty Ray then and McCluskey on either side.
Who's number 4, boys?
And even though he gets his bum onto the ground, Nigel Owens has already called them all at that stage, and I thought it's a non-tackle situation, but huge strength from Dysel. He's had a really good game this evening. Been critical of him this year.
Alan O'Connor, who captained Ulster for 4 games in a row, has come on with Matthew Dalton, who's going off, and I think O'Connor's coming on just to add that little bit more experience in scrummaging, because they would have seen what happened in the first scrum, and they won't want that happen again.
No, they won't. But they went back in the tight head, Jim, and that's Ian Henderson's in behind there. So Nick Timoney and Dyson really got it through the back row. Really have to get down and scrummage here. Also need to scrum as an 8. Best just get tight and O'Toole.
Set.
Again, it's an Ulster put in.
Keep it up.
Edinburgh will be going for the big shunt. That's a bit better by Ulster. They're creaking a wee bit, but they're holding firm. It's a much better scrum by Ulster. Hidalgo Klein trying to disrupt Cooney. McPhillips, that's a clever little kick into a bit of space. Where's it going to bounce? Oh, it's going to bounce very handily for Van der Merwe, who's been nailed by Nick Timoney on halfway. Penalty against Edinburgh. Good defensive work by Ulster. First of all, a pretty decent scrum, a clever kick by McPhillips, and good tackling by Nick Timoney.
Yeah, brilliant. Timoney, first of all, did a super job at the scrum in terms of helping to anchor down Tom O'Toole. Then he makes the cover. He's the first man up, puts his man on the deck, and who is it? It's Ian Henderson in over the top, and he stays on his feet, wraps him up. Clear cut for Nigel Owens, but also really hunting with intent, Jim, up front this evening, aren't they? Defensively very sound. Can't recall too many first missed up tackles.
3 tries to 1 for Ulster in the first half. Tries by Darren Cave, Charles Piatow and John Cooney, who kicked a couple of conversions for Edinburgh. An intercept try by Duncan Weir, who added the conversion plus 2 penalties, so just 6 points between them. And once again, McPhillips out of hand has kicked quite splendidly, and that was where the penalty was given away, and McPhillips has taken Ulster deep into Edinburgh territory. Number 19, Alan O'Connor, on for Matthew Dalton. Best
Contest for the ball.
Taken by O'Connor. That's gone to ground in a slowish ball. Rory Best, just a little pause and then an acceleration. Cooney again. So we're looking to come away from here with points. Henderson.
Tackle, move.
Good defending by Edinburgh. Cooney. McPhillips. Telegraphed that one slightly. Cooney in quickly. Best again. Just starting his 5th game for his beloved Ulster this season. Tom O'Toole, his very first senior cap. Piatow popping up on the outside half position. Referee having a good look at what Edinburgh are up to on the ground, and he's got the hand out for the penalty, and Edinburgh up to no good at the breakdown, not getting away. He's playing the advantage. Mata takes his opposite number, Dysel. Cooney back to McPhillips. Is he still playing the advantage? This could go anywhere, and it does. And they'll come back for the penalty. And Ulster, I'm pretty sure, Tony will want to take the 2 points to make it a requirement for Edinburgh to score a converted try and a bit more.
Absolutely. And it's always the risk with Nigel Owens in terms of playing the advantage. How far is it going to go? We see some referees that let it go for minutes. We've seen a couple already from Nigel Owens this evening that have gone one phase and then he's happy to let it go. So Ulster, in some regards, will be glad that that's come to nothing and they get a chance to go for 3 in front of the posts.
Jordan Lay, the Samoan international, played 5 times for his country, here in a short-term loan from Bay of Plenty in New Zealand. Matty Ray from Ballymena Academy, hobbling a wee bit. Bringing on the water is Jared Payne. Still nobody quite sure what's happening to him. Will we see him play again? Will he cease playing and take up a coaching role, which he's been doing for quite some time now, and by all accounts doing it pretty successfully? So Cooney to put 9 points between the sides. All Ulster's points the last time these two teams met. And 3 more successfully negotiated. So we have played 10.5 minutes in the second half, and Ulster leading by 22 points to 13.
Yeah, Richard Cockrell just going to make a couple of changes, but an important point Jimmy made. That's Ulster out to 2 scores now. It just gives them a little bit of breathing space. But again, I mentioned it at the start of this half, it's about regaining possession and playing it in Edinburgh territory. That's the way that they're going to win this game.
Looks like Phil Burley coming off, more of his replacement in a moment. Taken in again at the restart by John Deisel. Edinburgh competing at the breakdown, making it tough enough for John Cooney, who's trying to get it away. And he's forced into putting it just about vertical. Where's that going to go? All over the place.
Play on, there's nothing wrong there.
Referee says play on, no knock forward, and Edinburgh have gained the ball. Probably needed to go into touch. Here come Edinburgh yet again. Hidalgo Klein in all sorts of trouble there and knocked forward. Good pressure by Ulster at the breakdown. I was slightly concerned about the law that's come in about not allowed to tackle the scrum half, but Ulster didn't. They left him alone.
And it's that man Henderson, Jim, the counter-attack. It's just sheer, obtuse, brute strength. He runs up and just crunches that, knocks the Edinburgh man back on top of the scrum half. So you see McAnally carrying it in, safely put to ground by Deisel, but watch out for Henderson here on the blind side. Matty Ray has a pop. There's Henderson. Boom. Straight in, knocks Ritchie back on top of his scrum half. Massive, massive work rate from Henderson this evening. Both carrying offensively, but his work defensively, second to none.
Chris Dean is the man on for Phil Burley. Can play outside half or centre or wing, but he's in as a centre. There's big Bill Mata.
You okay, lads?
Signed a contract extension
we'll
to
take
keep
the
him
line
here
here,
at the
okay.
Murrayfield for another couple of seasons.
Lost on. Counter-ruck is good and legal. Ball was off the floor.
Third scrum of the second half.
Just keep your standards now, lads, okay?
And
We
the
drive,
third put in
drive square,
for
this straight,
Ulster.
please, okay?
First one was distinctly iffy. The second one was pretty reasonable. Ulster would like to keep moving forward. Tom O'Toole will remember this night for the rest of his life,
Crouch.
I'm sure.
Bind. Set. Keep it up.
Well, Ulster trying to dig in. Edinburgh have got a big squeeze on. Can Cooney get it away? The answer is not cleanly. That's a very good Edinburgh scrumman. Well, Ulster have taken a chance in terms of the selection, and Edinburgh seem to have got the benefit of that. And Edinburgh get the put into the scrum, and that's not so good.
Forward.
No, it's not. And the scrum certainly, you know, all things considered, having none in the first half has obviously aided Ulster.
Ball was
Jordan
out,
Lay's putting a bit of a
unplayable.
squeeze on in there now,
Back
and
forward
sometimes,
last.
Jim, that getting the front foot and the ascendancy at scrum time can have a big effect in the game. Defensively, whenever you're having to scrum as an 8, it can take an awful lot out of you.
Well, Ulster's replacement props are a man who'll be winning his first Ulster cap as a loose head replacement, Tommy O'Hagan. And the other one is the Irish international Rodney Ayew. So one with a fair bit of experience and one with absolutely none at this level. Whereas Edinburgh started with 2 international props and have still got 2 more on the bench. That perhaps has been one of Ulster's problems in recent seasons. The lack of seasoning in terms of their front row forwards, other than of course Rory Best.
We have to keep the space, please, lads, okay, on the set.
13 minutes played in the second
space,
half.
please.
Ulster,
Just step back,
who were
please.
19-13 up at the interval, have extended that by 3 further points. First put in of the evening from the Edinburgh scrum.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Jamie Ritchie,
Keep it
number
up,
7,
lads.
binding down on the Edinburgh
Keep it
open
up.
side. It's a solid looking Edinburgh scrum. And Ulster taking it down, but the referee seems to be happy enough. Here come Edinburgh, trying to create a little bit of width here. This is good stuff. Foot on the gas, good covering tackle there by Darren Cave, not for the first time this evening. Edinburgh on the front foot. Oh, they've made a bit of ground in Ulster. Just falling off tackles there momentarily. Hidalgo Klein, Toulis to Gilchrist. Better work there by Matthew Ray. Hidalgo Klein on the narrow side, clever pass. That's good defending once again by Ulster, but Edinburgh cleverly have kept the ball in play. Again, Edinburgh charging forward, by no means out of this game. Hugely important game for Edinburgh. Will get them into the knockout stages of this competition for the very first time. Ball is there. And Ulster have given away the penalty. What are Edinburgh going to do? Toulis is driving for the line. Good defending by Alan O'Connor. Bradbury with a charge. He's low. He's held up short. And Edinburgh still going, and referee's still playing advantage.
Okay, I can't carry on because you've gone into the man on the floor in front of you, okay? No advantage. Number 5, get your hands off that ball quicker, please.
Bill Mata caused play to be stopped. Ian Henderson told to release the ball quicker. What Edinburgh do here? Do they close the gap by another 3 points, Tony, or do they go for the scrum?
Well, look, you've 2 options. Yes, you can close by 3, and with 25 to play, maybe that's the more professional attitude, but they do have an advantage at scrum time.
1, 3 and 4 subs, please.
And that's certainly happened in the last 2 or 3 minutes as well. John Dysel, perhaps.
1, 3 and 4.
I think if there'd been more penalties in the game, Jim, Dysel could have found himself in the bin there for a professional foul underneath his post, but certainly since the scrums have started, Edinburgh have just starting to get on top.
Edinburgh have made 3 changes in the tight 5. Jordan Lay,
well,
Simon Bergen, the 2 props have gone off. Likewise, Ben Toulis. And they brought on, and I think they're going to go for the scrum here, I'm pretty sure. They brought on W.P. Nell, and they brought on another international, Rory Sutherland. And they've also brought on Lewis Carmichael, the big second row forward who scored against Ulster at Ravenhill, a runaway try from 50 metres out. So big hitters coming into the Edinburgh front 5.
Scrum call.
Yeah, Edinburgh going to go for the power play, Jim, as you mentioned. Fresh blood on into that front row. W.P. Nell, well renowned scrummager in international circles as well, and Cockerell's going to have a go at this.
Well, we'll soon find out if that was the correct decision to forget about the certain 3 points by Stuart McNally. And Edinburgh will really put pressure, and so much of it will come on this young Ulster tight head.
Big issue as well, Jim, with Ulster struggling in the scrum. The back row have to stay down. Your first job has to scrummage. That's going to impede their speed of the breakaway if Edinburgh decide to move this, and that could create some space out wide.
In it goes. Edinburgh looking for the secondary shove. Down it goes. Nigel Owens saying nobody at fault, let's do it again. For the first time in his career, has Rory Best got up with a face full of mud.
That's the middle, lads. Stay on the line, please. Your knees off the ground.
Yeah.
Your height.
17, Scottish international Rory Sutherland. So what an evening it's been for Tom O'Toole. One international prop leaves and to be replaced by another one, but he will have learned so much from this.
Interesting setup, Jim, behind the Edinburgh scrum. We see Duncan Weir directly behind it, and then Blair Kinghorn, the fullback, directly behind Weir as well. So they're counting the numbers, and they're going to attack the short side where the numbers are down.
Here come Edinburgh looking for the squeeze, trying to get a penalty try from Nigel Owens. It's gone round, it's gone down, and it's another penalty against Ulster. And I'm pretty sure Edinburgh will go for yet another scrum. What do you think? Getting a wee bit on the fractious side.
Well, they're all in going over there, and we're not taking a quick one.
Edinburgh have made another change. They brought on Scottish international Cornell Duprere, the South African who's now played for Scotland.
I don't think potentially, Jim, this maybe wouldn't be a bad time for maybe Rodney Ayew just to slip on in the front row as well. There's always a bit of, you can always replace your props, and there's no reason to say that O'Toole may not come back on later on, but scrum is creaking.
If there's an injury, yeah,
absolutely. Maybe throw Ayew on, take a bit of heat at the scrum. He's fresh as well.
And he is a big man. He'd be a lot heavier than Tom O'Toole, who's for a youngster is a pretty solid looking citizen.
They just changed Nigel Owen's opinion of the scrum as well, because Edinburgh definitely on the ascendancy. That's one penalty. You've no doubt they're going to crank this up and have another go at the pushover as well, and perhaps they've also just freshened up that front row.
Well, I'm looking down and I actually don't see anybody changing at all.
You know, the subs are all running, they're all warming up at the far end of the pitch, but there's certainly no sign of anybody getting stripped and ready to come on.
Set.
Coming up to the end of the third quarter here. Ulster under pressure. That didn't look exactly straight, but nobody cares these days. Here comes the Edinburgh squeeze. Good control at the base of that scrum. Referee's having a good look. Is he going to go underneath the post for the penalty try? And yes, he is. It was almost inevitable. Huge pressure coming on the Ulster tight five, and they simply couldn't hold it up. And they can have no complaints whatsoever. Penalty try has been given, and these days there's no conversion. So Edinburgh all of a sudden have now got themselves more than back into this game, and they're back within 2 points of Ulster as we come to the end of the third quarter. It's now going to be Edinburgh 20, Ulster 22.
Yeah, well, you always fancied once Edinburgh get in there, Jim, they were going to go for the throat. Second time of asking, Nigel Owens has had enough, and that's like, it's abrasive coaching from Cockrell. They have an advantage. He's decided to go for it.
Well, I see now they're bringing Rodney Ayew round, still with his tracksuit top and his bib on. And you wonder why he might not have been brought on a little bit earlier. However, Johnny McPhillips, Ulster still in the lead, mind you. Good restart kick. Gilchrist was the man who took it in for Edinburgh. Hidalgo Klein decides not to kick this time, something he's done well all evening. Outside of 22, so ironically he may now go for the kick. Hasn't put that terribly far, but it's a good for somebody to chase. Knocked back by Tiatau into an Edinburgh hand. Careless by Ulster's fullback, Sam Hidalgo Klein. Edinburgh, you do have the feeling that the tails are up there. That's gone loose. Here come Ulster again, hacked on by McCluskey. There's going to be a chase here. Timoney gets through, lets the player get up, and he grabs him and tries to turn him round. And they're going to come all the way back.
Knock on the tackle by White.
Ulster have knocked the ball on in the tackle 30 yards back.
I think Ulster will take that, Jim, because they were numbers down, and Ulster really pressured hard in defence.
Halfway line.
Well, now, was an Ulster hand made contact with the ball in the tackle? The referee was a lot closer than us, and he seemed to think there was.
Yeah, I think
I'd like to have another look at that.
I think he's got a call from the TMO just in his earpiece to tell him that, but Ulster really had to push hard in midfield to try and shut off that option.
Not in that last scrum, it wasn't. No. But the last scrum.
Stuart McNally is in the wars, and he's going off to be replaced by the soon-to-retire Neil Cochrane. And Tom O'Toole comes off, having made a pretty impressive Ulster debut. Got to tighten the scrum, but then that's only to be expected. He's just 19 years of age. And what a future this young man has in front of him.
Yeah, brilliant performance by O'Toole, hasn't it been? Both ball carrying, defensively. His work rate's been second to none, and listen, every pat in the back he gets has been earned. Fantastic effort.
So McNally off, and Neil Cochrane, the 34-year-old, is on. There he is. Played no fewer than 72 Edinburgh games. Been around the block a time or two. Into the last quarter of the game. Did you see Ulster hand knock that forward?
It's hard to say. There's TMO with us. The slow-mo sometimes doesn't make it clear, but I think Matty Ray really putting the heat on midfield, and as I said, Ulster I think they'll be happy to take the knock on, Jim, because if the ball had got out, they were numbers down, and Edinburgh on the offensive.
Richard Cockrell has changed his scrum half. Sam Hidalgo Klein, leaving at the end of the year, has been replaced by Sean Kennedy,
Crouch,
wearing number 21.
Bind. Set. Hold it there, lads. Middle. That's decent. That's good. Keep it there.
And there's a better scrum by Ulster, due in the main to the considerable presence of Rodney Ayew. Edinburgh have a man to spare here. Good covering tackle by Ulster. Away by Kennedy, back inside. Good thundering run that was by second row forward Lewis Carmichael. Remember, scored that great individual try at Ravenhill in February. Edinburgh now looking to press home their advantage.
The ball is available.
Just 2 points adrift now.
Number 17 is pressing him down there. Don't press him down. If you're slowing your own ball
Carmichael
down.
Again. Well tackled. Weir. Hop and a skip by Blair Kinghorn. Sutherland, the replacement loose head prop.
Didn't touch it, ball didn't move forward.
Bit of width on it now. This could be interesting. Cornell Dupree, tackled by Tommy Bowe, but he's got it away well to his winger Duhan van der Merwe. Holding on to the ball. And a penalty to Ulster, and they need this. They need to get themselves down into Edinburgh territory.
They do, Jim, and it's Dysel again. His ability to stay on his feet. Telescopic reach over the top and get his hands on it, but Ulster just starting to look a little bit tired, aren't they? That line speed that they had in the first 50 minutes, you just wonder whether all the effort at scrum time is just starting to have its effect on the forwards especially, and Dysel did really well there.
Jamie Ritchie, the man penalised.
Holding on, lads, first defence.
Johnny McPhillips is kicking to touch from hand so far this evening. Has been very good.
Come on, Ulster! Ulster!
Well, he's found his touch and he's given Ulster a decent platform.
Lineouts in the first half were something Ulster really used effectively. Varied the throw, but mainly to the back, and got some really clean off the top ball that resulted in 2 scores. And again, fine opportunity here for Rory Best to find a man, gain possession back.
Or otherwise they're entitled to come up.
6-man Ulster line out. Henderson with the take, Best comes round. Edinburgh dug in, Ulster trying to get a secondary shove on. They're going to have to play this. Cooney, McPhillips, McCluskey. Oh, he's got through. Now he needs a little bit of help. Oh, he's got the ball back inside to Cave. And he's spilled it forward. There was a try there. Penalty against Edinburgh, the breakdown. Cave thought about taking it quickly. That could have been, well, game, set and match. As it is, it gives Ulster a chance, and I'm sure they must go for the 3 points here, Tony.
Yeah, have to go for the 3, Jim. And McCluskey with that bust in midfield. First time he's really got the shackles off this evening. Gets the ball away to Cave, and it's Jamie Ritchie.
Just a timing issue. Tackle complete. Ripped.
Yeah, that's a good call from Nigel Owens. It's, you know,
Good call, Nigel. Good call.
You can see what happens, Jim. Ritchie actually rides Cave to the ground, and then as they roll over, pulls the ball out.
In Swansea, Ospreys leading Connacht by 34 points to 10, so it would seem that it's a bonus point there for the Ospreys, who are coming up on the rails at a gallop with all their Welsh internationals, including the remarkable Alan Wynne-Jones back in harness, with 34-10 to the Ospreys. Here, there's just 2 points between them, but if John Cooney's on form, it could be 5 with 15 minutes remaining. A delicate little chip from John Cooney, and the Ulster lead goes out to 5 points. 15 minutes remaining, Edinburgh 20 and Ulster 25.
Yeah, very much in the belting pot, ebbing to and fro, but Ritchie did really well here to cover. That's phenomenal ground cover by the Edinburgh open side to hunt down Cave.
Good restart kick by Edinburgh, forcing Ulster back into their 22. And again, Edinburgh up quickly, not allowing Ulster's ball carriers to make any worthwhile ground. Piatow, now what is he going to do? He's going to get himself caught.
Tackle release!
He's been told to release it, and he does. Back to McPhillips, sensibly in the pocket. And that's a good clearance by McPhillips at the second attempt, not by him, by Ulster.
Yeah, your heart was in your mouth there, wasn't it? The second time Piatow finds himself at his own goal line, and the hitch kick and decides to go himself. We saw him clear so effectively in the first half on his left foot, and I said Ulster just need to make sure they clear their lines effectively, get out of their own 22 and then hunt the tackle down.
Line out to Edinburgh, and again they have taken a couple of men out of it. They put Jamie Ritchie in the scrum half position. This is the veteran Neil Cochrane on for skipper Stuart McAnally. Edinburgh's line-out has been pretty secure and stays pretty secure. That was Carmichael. Christine, the replacement, wearing number 23. Van der Merwe tries to bulldoze his way forward, gets across the Ulster 10-metre line. This is Gilchrist, just headed for the turf. Penalty given away. Holding on the tackle.
Holding on, lads, you're isolated. And the tackler does not affect anybody coming in because there's nobody there. Arrival is late. Holding on, first offence.
Yeah, clearly explained by Nigel Owens, but again, Jim, it's John Dysel. He's done that 4 or 5 times this evening.
I looked at that. I didn't think he did.
Really effective in a defensive capacity for Ulster. So hard to move over the ball. We see Kennedy move it. Gilchrist takes it in. There's Dysel. Perfectly clear. He's not involved in the tackle. He can do that all day long. Edinburgh can't move him.
McPhillips making his 5th successive start for Ulster, all in the company of his halfback partner John Cooney. Once again kicks very well out of hand and has given Ulster a very decent position. Just over 12 minutes remaining and 5 points between them. A victory here at Murrayfield would be of inestimable value to this Ulster side, who've had a pretty horrible season. Rory Best, whose international season couldn't have got any better.
Still up, the ball is still up.
Only the 3rd man in Irish history to lead Ireland to a Grand Slam. Here's Cooney. McPhillips now. McCluskey trying to use that strength of his again, which proved so effective about 10 minutes ago. Cooney again. Piatow.
Play on, play on, play on.
Wriggles and turns, and somebody's down injured for Ulster. I don't think it's Cooney because he's on the ball. Again, Edinburgh up so quickly in Ulster faces. Ulster have conceded 5 or 6 metres.
Oh, hang on. I'm going to stop that. The guy is injured here. I'm going to stop that. White in possession will be white ball. We have an injury here.
It's going to be an Ulster scrum. There's an injury to an Ulster player. And it's Stuart McCluskey, and that doesn't look wonderful. That's his left arm, and this will be a bit of a blow for Ulster. They have young Angus Curtis, who's on the bench getting ready to come on for his very first cap, and already he's getting himself warmed up, and Rory Best realises there's medically nothing he can do, but what he can do, Tony, is talk to his troops and just say to them, come on, we've only 10 or 11 minutes to go, let's just keep this up.
Absolutely, round up the wagons, Jim, isn't it? Best, there's nobody with more experience out there, and I'm sure he's drawing a line in the sand and he's saying, look guys, 5 minutes here, 5 points clear, 10 minutes to go. Let's win this.
There's a young man born in Harare. His grandfather Brian played for Ireland way back in 1950. His dad Dave played for Ireland in 91 and 92. Was a member of the 1991 World Cup squad. And Angus Curtis will be coming on to win his very first Ulster cap. This is the McCluskey injury. He was hanging onto the ball and he went down. He was twisted. And he went down very awkwardly on that left elbow of his, which is strapped already.
There's a history of that. If you remember, he was one he dislocated last year as well, and he looks in a considerable amount of pain. And hopes it's just one of those stinger type injuries.
He says, I'm all right. Michael Webb grins. Well, Stuart McCluskey, what a beast of a man he is.
The magic sponge, works every time, doesn't it?
Aye. I prefer a magic gin and tonic, I have to say, but the sponge will do for him. And because the play was stopped because of an injury and Ulster were in possession and moving forward, it's going to be an Ulster scrummage. The clock will resume with just over 11 minutes remaining. Bryn Cunningham standing at the back, Niall Malone in the foreground with the cap on, John O'Gibbs. Fingers and toes crossed in that
crouch
Ulster coaching box.
We'll stack this 4-2, Jim. 4 on the left, 2 on the right.
Keep it up, keep it up.
Oh, I used dug in well. Big squeeze from Edinburgh. Picked up by John Dysel. They come to the near side. Good thrust by the South African. Capped 4 times for his country. Ritchie nearly over the top. Here goes Piatow. Edinburgh reading it well. Piatow has to hang on to that ball. Sometimes he loses it in contact, but not this time. Cooney. Well away by O'Connor. Ooh, there's a bit of a risk in that one. Here come Ulster again. Cave got it away to Stockdale. There's the chip and chase by the Six Nations player of the tournament, and he's up quickly. And he's taken the Edinburgh defender. Ulster trying to get over the ball. Edinburgh have secured it. Just 10 minutes remaining. 5 points between them. Kennedy gets it away. Ulster can stay here for the next 10 minutes. They will be more than happy. Kennedy to do a Hidalgo Klein perhaps.
Back 9.
And he's done that as he kept it in field. No, he's found his touch, and that'll be an Ulster line-out.
Yeah, didn't Dysel do well off a retreating scrum as well? Got the mid on the ball, carried it into traffic. Just what you want your number 8 to do whenever the scrum's going backwards. And then good game management by Stockdale, finding himself in space, no options on, threads it down the line, contains Edinburgh just outside their 22.
Be fair to say it's the best game John Dysel has played for Ulster.
Well, we saw best game, Jim, I think we saw him play, apart from this one, was the one he played with Coetzee, and in tandem they looked superb. Apart from that, honestly, he's been a big disappointment.
Very best. Taken by Ian Henderson, his Grand Slam winning colleague. Edinburgh comes thundering in. Ulster will have to play this ball into the last 10 minutes. Here goes Cooney. Stockdale in off his wing. Still going.
Move 16.
Good presentation. Can Ulster hang on to this for 9 minutes? Edinburgh coming up so very quickly. Their defence has been outstanding. Cooney, McPhillips, now Piatow. Well, there's no way through. They've got 2 men on him every time, Piatow. He hasn't been as effective as we have seen him, apart from scoring that well-taken try. Alan O'Connor.
Stay.
Cooney looking for the little box kick. That's not a bad one. Where's that going to bounce? Taken in, though, by Blair Kinghorn.
On the 22, please, on the 22.
So will Kinghorn opt for the safety of touch, giving Ulster the throw, or will he put it down the middle and allow some of his colleagues to chase?
Yeah, I think he's going to go down the middle. He's had a word inside, and he can hit the ball a long way, this guy.
Well, he's done just that, but he's put it into touch.
Just a little bit disappointing from Cooney there, wasn't it? Ulster had done well and just overcooked the box kick, giving away possession. Ulster just at this stage, they're just showing some poise and control. I'm sure the call from upstairs has been, let's just hang on to it, try and eke out some more penalties and see if we can just get the scoreboard ticking over again.
Sean Reedy has come on, and Nick Timoney, who's had not just a good game tonight but a good season for Ulster, has left the field. Good to see Irish international Sean Reedy back again after injury kept him out for over a month. Good line-out by Ulster. Cooney, McPhillips, McCluskey seems to be fine, very nearly got through, just got a half trip pick up and drive by Tommy Bowe. Rodney Ayew. Less than 8 minutes to go. Better stuff by Ulster. Here goes Dysel again across the 10-metre line of Edinburgh. There's room on that narrow side, and Cooney's using it. Good defending yet again by Edinburgh. Cooney gets both paws on it. Henderson. Gets a bit of help from Ayew. Surely there's an Edinburgh paw in there. McPhillips. That is not a bad kick. What a teaser.
Advantage off White.
Came forward off Ulster. Now this could be interesting. Oh, Stockdale's missed his man. Van der Merwe with the chip and chase. Piatow comes across. Piatow gathers. And again decides to have a go rather than safety first. It's worked out for Ulster. Cooney, bit of a chance on the near side. Here goes Henderson. Henderson places it nicely. Rory Best. Under 7 minutes to go, but Ulster inside their own half by some distance. Cooney looking to go down the near side, I'm pretty sure.
Ball available, play please. Here's 9.
Referee telling John Cooney to use the ball, and he must do that. McPhillips. Piatow. Gets away from one, gets away from a second. Pops it up nicely to Darren Cave, who's a little bit on his own. Just needs to hang on and place it, and he does just that. Away by Ulster. Is there a chance here? Wide. Away they go. Now they get it wide. And would you believe it's been knocked on by Jacob Stockdale? In fact, it was Stuart McCluskey. I do beg your pardon.
Yeah, disappointing from Ulster, wasn't it? Just that time. He just wanted to pay a toy with the break, the step, and through he goes. Again, it's Cave again running that inside line, and he does very well, Jim. He's isolated, but he managed to buy himself an extra yard. And Dysel's pass. McCluskey maybe should have done just a little bit better. The chance to step in off his left foot there. And
Rory Best is down. I think it's just maybe a bit of cramp. Well, it looked bad, that arm injury for Stuart McCluskey, but he's come through.
Just whatever way, he just obviously just jarred it. Yeah, he's just hit that funny bone, hasn't he? And he looked in a lot of pain. But Rory just taking a minute or two here, just letting that Ulster forwards get a bit of a breather, suck in a bit of air. And Best has been magnificent again this evening, hasn't he? He already leads from the front, but never has a bad game.
Well, there's the old headgear is off. I don't think we're going to see too much more about Rory Best this evening. And not a bad man to come on, another Irish international. Nothing like the experience, of course, but a man who's captain Ulster. And Rob Herring has learned so much from Rory Best, and you need to put all of that into effect. Yeah, so Rory Best off and Rob Herring on.
Absolutely, also need that translated into this last 6 minutes. Herring just has to be massive around the park. He's got to be good at the breakdown, but his simple stuff, Jim, it's nuts and bolts. He's got to make sure there's line out darts. If he get a chance, he regains possession.
Darren Cave in the wars as well, creaking a wee bit. A youngster at 31, only yesterday. What a nice birthday party it would be for him in Edinburgh this evening, if Ulster can come away with a much needed win. One converted try. Edinburgh need to win this game, or a couple of penalties perhaps. Herring's first throw taken at the back. McPhillips. Ooh, Stockdale just about through and no more. Can he present that? He can. Here come Ulster thundering forward. Matty Ray, who's had another good game in the back row. Cooney back inside to Henderson. Have Ulster got a second wind here. Rodney Ayew, nicely done. That's an awful pass to Piatal, but knocked forward initially by Ulster. Well, Ulster just too anxious there, Tony. It's all about composure, and they lack composure there, and they've given the ball back to Edinburgh.
Yeah, absolutely. It just needs someone. I suppose if you had a slightly more experienced 10, Jim, you'd be looking just to, in the bygone days of David Humphreys, slide that in the corner, just shut this game down. And look, you can understand what McPhillips is trying to do, yes, but there's a time and a place, and for Ulster, it's not the time and the place now. Just keep his forwards going forward. Don't throw the big intercept option. Just keep Ulster just on the front foot.
Yeah, the first knock forward was by Ulster in that little passage of play, and with under 5 minutes remaining, Edinburgh have got the ball, and no doubt Duncan Weir will be trying to think now, how can we outflank this Ulster side who've been vulnerable in the wings.
Keep the
scrummage for Rob Herring. Andrew Warwick still there, so Tommy O'Hagan may well have to wait for his first Ulster cap, the replacement Loosehead.
The height good, please, okay? Shoulders out. Crouch.
Edinburgh with men
Bind.
not quite evenly spread on this near side, where you can't see it from that camera angle of 4 men and 2 on the other. It's a bit more like it. Better Ulster scrum, but Edinburgh makes sure. Use it, says Nigel Owens. Kennedy. Well, Ulster a little bit hanging off a little bit, but they've got the man. He just shunted them toward the touchline. Kennedy again. Dupree into Henderson, who takes him to ground. Edinburgh inside Ulster's half. Bradbury.
Hands away.
Kennedy. Gilchrist tries to get it away and intercepted. Was it by Tommy Bowe? I think TJ Bowe has managed to get it. Cooney. That's a clever kick down this near touchline. Needs the bounce to be kind. It's not. It's gone to Kinghorn, who steps Cooney with ease. Hardly blame Cooney, mind you. Edinburgh moving forward. Referee having a good look at the breakdown. Kennedy again. Duncan Weir does make the kick. That's a good one. Knocked backward by Ulster. And away goes Stockdale. Good bit of support play from McCluskey. McCluskey's got away from Weir. McCluskey, can he get it inside? Knocked backward by an Edinburgh hand, I'm pretty sure. and knocked over the line, and that might be a 5 metre scrum to Ulster.
Come down, white ball.
And it is.
So close as well. McCluskey, the ball in the left hand, looking for the sky hook inside, and Cave just couldn't quite make it. But credit to Edinburgh, great scramble defence. Stockdale again, just that inside ball. McCluskey really come to the fore in the second half. Bounces where you can see what he's looking for, Jim.
Yes, he needed somebody closer to him, and Cave, well, not Cave, McPhillips went inside, thinking there wasn't any, were no Edinburgh defenders there.
Sean Kennedy did really well, though, didn't he? He knew what he was looking for and put himself in the right place. Dug his team out of a potentially match-losing situation. Also now just have to keep the foot on the pedal, Jim. One big scrum, and just try and keep your composure.
Into the final 3 minutes, Ulster scrummage. Earlier on in the half, they were under an awful lot of pressure. That situation has improved with the introduction on the near side of their formidable Rodney Ayew. But this is the most important scrum of the entire game. Ulster need to win the ball. Good position by Ayew. The back's just about right. Deisel sets it up. He's told to use it, and he does. Cooney, little flat ball. Well read by Edinburgh. Stockdale sets it up. Ulster keeping driving forward. Here goes Henderson. Tackled by Dupree. Rob Herring. Replacement for Ulster skipper Rory Best. Just 2 minutes remaining. Ulster trying to go through the middle.
Away now, Black.
Edinburgh dig on. Referee tells them to get away. Here go Ulster again. It's a try. It's Henderson has clinched it for Ulster. And who knows what a difference that try might make to the season.
Henderson, listen, he has been absolutely monumental this evening. Ulster keeping it tight. Tremendous scrum by Ayew in terms of the way he knocked that down, but it's Cooney just feeding one off runners. Deisel pops and goes, manages to present. And Henderson, just that brute strength he has, going through two men. Listen, Jim, he's been absolutely fantastic this evening. He hasn't put a foot wrong, giving good passage to, first of all, Matty Dalton in the second row and O'Toole in front of them. Man of the match.
He never scored a more important try, because not only should that secure the victory for Ulster, it's going to be a bonus point victory away from home. And that doesn't happen too often.
No, not at all, and they've been really good value for it as well, from start to finish. 4 tries in Edinburgh, not many teams do that, but Ulster have looked very accomplished, and they've managed to just put this game away as Edinburgh were eking their way back into it.
Cooney, who's kicked pretty impeccably, adds another 2 points. So Ulster, with under a minute to go, leading now by a clear 12 points. It's Edinburgh 20 and Ulster 32. And they're not going to blow this now, Tony.
No, they're not, but the key, Jim, is to make sure Edinburgh don't get a bonus point as well. That could be very important come the end of the season.
No, it's come back on the Edinburgh side. Ulster not really making sure of the restart. Edinburgh again looking with a bit of width. Dupree, good handoff. Darren Cave just about held him up and no more. Likewise Sean Reedy. This is Gilchrist.
No!
Good contest there by Alan O'Connor. Here come Edinburgh. Magnus Bradbury. We have now played 80 minutes, so when this goes dead, it's going to be game over. Gilchrist gets knocked back. Cochrane slips it away. Weir moves it wide. There's a wee bit of danger here. Here goes Ritchie. Ulster trying to close them down, and they've just about managed it and no more. Anxious moments for Ulster. That's gone forward. It's been intercepted. All they've got to do is kick it out. I don't know what they thought they were doing there. Referee playing advantage for the knock forward, and the advantage has been taken for Ulster, and they have come here to Edinburgh, which has not exactly been the happiest of venues for them, and they've won this game, and they've won it with a handsome bonus point victory, and I'm sure they will be delighted by it. It's come late in the season, Tony, but there will be smiles on Ulster faces.
Absolutely, Jim, and it gives them impetus into the last 3 games as well. Gives them obviously Treviso hot in their heels, but a bonus point win. Listen, if we're being honest, I don't think too many of us saw it coming given the current form that they've been on, but Best and Henderson have been brilliant. The youngsters, O'Toole, Dalton, Matty Ray up front, fantastic, and McPhillips at 10, really growing into that 10 shirt.
Well, thank you, Tony. It was 19-13 at the interval. Edinburgh closed the gap, and at one stage there was only 2 points between them, but Ulster came back, and it was Ian Henderson, Grand Slam hero, who got the final try, the bonus point winning try, and Ulster come away from Murrayfield with no fewer than 5 points. Final score, Edinburgh 20 and Ulster, a delighted Ulster, 32.
Thank you very much to Tony McWhirter and to Jim Neely. Charles Piatow we're looking at, lads. John O'Gibbs, I think it was more relief than a smile there. Look, how big a win in the context of Ulster's season is this, Ian?
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. Stevie will tell you, it's easier to play whenever you don't have the stress of Treviso coming up right behind you, whereas Ulster can now focus on trying to catch Edinburgh instead of panicking. Back 5-10 years ago, we used to be worried about Connacht catching us in the last European spot. The mentality changed where all of a sudden Ulster were trying to win the league, and the guys will be able to have that mindset now that this is one of the best performances we've seen this season, and it's just the energy, whether it was the young guys coming in, whether it was returning internationals, the enthusiasm the players had to make their tackles, to get hands on the ball, to make the carries. It was great to see.
And Edinburgh, of course, at home, and they won so many games in those crucial last 5 minutes this season, Stephen, but yet it was Ulster who came good, and Ian Henderson in particular just bludgeoned his way over the line.
And they look comfortable. They were the team that turned the screw, you know, and we haven't seen enough of that this season. And when you're in this position, it was a brilliant break, all started by Stuart McCluskey up the left-hand side, and they got the scrum and they just keep battering the line. And, you know, Ulster over the last couple of years, this isn't their strength, but they backed themselves. A pick through the middle there by Daigle, who was brilliant tonight defensively. And there's Ian Henderson getting pushed over, you know, getting a good latch on there, and it's about want to get to the line, and taking that bonus point away from losing bonus point away from Edinburgh, and Ulster getting that bonus point with the 4 tries. Just that small bit of comfort, and it'll be a very happy changing room. And, you know, there hasn't been too many of those over the last number of weeks.
Let's take a look at the Conference B table just to confirm how things stand there, lads, at the minute. Obviously, it's Leinster from the Scarlets and Edinburgh, but crucially, that win for Ulster, it's a lifeline for the season.
It is. They've got a game in hand. So if they can beat Glasgow next week, that brings them a bit closer again. And the good thing is they're going to go out there with the ambition now to catch Edinburgh. I think that performance will just be massive for them. Going back in Ian Henderson, I like seeing him in second row. I think he's much more effective for Ulster, and his best performances have come for Ireland when he's been in that second row position. It just gives weight to the scrum. It gets him in close, making those big physical hits, slowing the ball down, and then getting over the gain line there a couple of times. He's just in the mix, and he's too good a player not to be having on the ball a lot.
Ospreys winning with a bonus point tonight, coming to Ulster next week. We know it's a big one, but look, we mentioned Stockdale and we mentioned Best and we mentioned Henderson pre-match, but Darren Cave, 31 yesterday, his contract up. He had some impact this evening, Stephen.
He did, and he was just a breath of fresh air in midfield, and he didn't really make a mistake. And, you know, there he's at full pace on a covering tackle, and he gets him around the ankles, but he's straight back onto his feet. He's back into the game again. That second tackle there was 10 seconds after the first one, and his all-round game was very, very good tonight in attack and defence, and you know what, I think his contract is up in the air come the end of this season, but if somebody deserves to get an extension or sign for another couple of years, it's definitely that man, because he's been a stalwart for Ulster over the last number of years, and when he's called upon, he delivers.
Ian, you want to say something?
Yeah, what Kiwi does that people don't really see, it's the communication. You watch him in defence, his hands are pointing, he's chatting inside and outside him. In attack, he's telling boys where to attack, what shoulder to run to. It's that voice.
Is he Ulster's best 13?
In my opinion, is. I'm biased because I played with him for so long, but I think he's brilliant.
You expect him to see him playing for Ulster next year. That contract you expect to roll over to some extent. Talk to me about Tom O'Toole, Tony McWhirter, bigging him up tonight. Said he put in a massive shift for 60 minutes. Young man making his debut in the front row.
Yeah, he just brought some enthusiasm, some physicality. His ruck cleans were very aggressive. Obviously, scrum-wise, I'm not obviously that well informed on, but
you didn't have to comment too many. There was only one. Was it the first scrum was 45 minutes? So
it's just the energy himself, Matthew Dalton. These young lads are bringing it. They're pushing the older guys on, and I thought for a first outing for a 19-year-old in the front row, I thought was excellent. You know, and he's only going to learn from that. A bit like we talked off air. Cian Healy came into the Leinster setup, had a couple of tough enough first games, and the player he became just through the exposure of high class rugby.
I was just looking at the team sheet there, Mark. 21 Irish qualified players out of the 23. The only 2 boys are Sean Dysel and Charles Piatow. You know, I hope that's what they're kind of sticking to towards the end of the season, and that's what they're going to try and build their team on, is the homegrown Irish qualified players.
And at one point there, McCluskey, we thought, he won't be available for this crucial run-in, but resilient man. And again, epitomised the fight, the spirit about Ulster tonight.
Yeah, it was good. Ulster managed to get him one-on-one with Duncan Weir a couple of times. Stuart running at somebody's soft shoulder is very difficult to stop. He's able to get his hands free, as he was able to then offload to Darren Cave as well. What you don't want is to be running into brick walls into the back row, because it's impossible to get any good gain line. But if you can manipulate the attack that he's one-on-one, then he's very hard to stop. And he just, again, tonight looked full of energy in defence. He was working hard on the inside of Darren Cave to make his tackles. And the Johnny McPhillips, Stuart McCluskey and Darren Cave, that trio seemed to work very well. Really, really appreciate your comment this evening, boys, and your insight and analysis, and I trust that you have too. Ulster's remaining fixtures: home to Ospreys next week and the rearranged Glasgow game the following Saturday, with the trip to Thomond, the final match then of the season. Tomorrow